It seems like Mercedes has finally solved the problem that's plagued them during these ground effect regulations, even going as far as saying they will be competitive in every single race weekend after what they've seen in both Canada and Monaco. The team has changed its concept multiple times throughout these regulations, and the simulator has been a continuous problem when it comes to the correlation between the simulator and what's happening on track. James Allison and Toto Wolff have spoken and revealed a plan for upgrades and how they plan on catching the top. Is this just a spree of Grand Prix that have gone very well for Mercedes, or are they really back and can they contend with the top three for the rest of the 2024 season? Before getting into the start of the video, I wanted to thank you guys for the support on the channel. You guys are amazing. I say this again and again, but I truly mean it. You guys are the best family that I can ask for on YouTube, and the community around is just great. So thank you so much for supporting. If you are new here, I'd love if you subscribe. The more of you that like and subscribe means that I'm doing very well in these videos, and the channel is growing more with more opportunities for me. So thank you so much for supporting, but let's get started with the Mercedes W15 video. The team has had great weekends, and I would go as far as saying these are probably their best put together weekends I've seen in these ground regulations. They had their moments both in 22 and 23, but this is the first time that we see actual progress between two Grand Prix, and while the results aren't the highest they've ever had, seeing the team make jumps and leaps in their performance is where it's most important because of all the setbacks they've had through these ground effect regulations. They were super close in Monaco to pole and then actually ended up getting pole in Canada. But we have to remember that Canada was the perfect conditions and exactly what they were asking for throughout the whole entire season. We haven't seen a race like this where it's still cold conditions on the track, a little bit of wet, to be perfect for drivers like George and Lewis to get the most out of this W15 car. The car was producing a lot of grip and it was good on its tires, at least in qualifying for the warm-up, but through the race we could see that McLaren was still the much better car in both dry and wet when it came to conserving those tires and being able to extract the pace. That's how Lando was able to make pretty much an 11-second gap on George Russell and Max Verstappen throughout the Grand Prix. So what I would say for Mercedes is to be cautiously optimistic. It's not like they're back yet, but these are very big steps. I think a big upgrade, which we're about to talk about very soon, is what they need to be competitive every single weekend with the likes of Red Bull, McLaren, and Ferrari. Because I feel like this was more track dependent than it was just off of performance. A lot of positives, but you have to be cautious about what's going to happen within the next Grand Prix because there's still a lot more to come within the team. Now Mercedes has upgrades planned. We're going to see a lot of upgrades come from this team who's been pretty conservative at the start of the season. They've been very hesitant because the actual rear suspension has been something that's not been correlating correctly with them, and it's been tricky to get this car in the perfect setup window. But since bringing that front wing in Monaco, the team has better correlation between the simulator and on track, which is because the new front wing is flexing how they want it to. It's within the regulations, and teams like Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and even Aston Martin last year, up until they were forced to change to a different front wing, were abusing this front wing advantage in a way to where it helps the car in low speed and high speed while also being within the regulations. James Allison has even added, there's no doubt about it, it's all about the flexy front wing. Then he goes on to say, obviously staying within the regulations, there's load that the front wing has to carry and it's allowed to flex more than a certain amount with the load on. As long as it passes the test, it can do whatever it wants beyond that. And we can see the confidence growing within Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, specifically from George's side, who's been a much better driver this year in that Mercedes seat. But with that being said, both drivers are very close. On race day, Lewis is better. In qualifying, it's George that's better. It's very close between the two of them. The plans that we've already heard of and confirmation that we have is that Spain will bring a new floor for the team, something that's been talked about for a very long time. If we actually look at the diffuser and the profiling the diffuser, it's very far behind, and I can expect this floor upgrade to come with a new diffuser as well, as that is pretty much all one part, and usually those two go hand in hand for a big upgrade. This could add a lot of time, and this is what is needed to actually bring and propel that team to be able to fight with the top three continuously. We've also had quotes from James Allison talking about that now that they've fixed these correlation issues, it's time to bring the real serious upgrades. Barcelona is the start of what will probably be an upgrade fest for every single team. From Barcelona pretty much to Belgium, we will see a lot of upgrades come in. But Mercedes is adamant within this time span from Barcelona to Spa They will bring continuous upgrades, whether those be track specific or performance based, we'll have to see from weekend to weekend, but we do know the floor is coming in Spain, that is confirmed, and we've also had big rumors of some revised side pods to also help with the airflow getting to the rear part of the car. The side pods and the whole car concept itself is still pretty new, so it will take time for them to bring these upgrades, which the time has passed, and now it will actually come to the car. And we will see the team make big progress throughout these Grand Prix, and it will really be shown in Spain whether they can keep up, because Spain is a track where the tires play a big part. It's going to be a two-stop, it's going to be hot, so they have to be on it, and the upgrades that do come to the car have to address the tire issue they still have, while McLaren is still the strongest team, I would say, altogether. Can Mercedes really fight with the top three? It's been a big topic. Now with everybody saying that Mercedes is there, they can fight, I would say it's not yet. I've talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the video, but to go more into this, they got to fix the tire problem in the heat. And even in those perfect conditions, yet again, they were still shredding through those tires a lot quicker than something like that of McLaren. McLaren's been strong in qualifying. They've arguably been the best car for the past 4 Grand Prix, but haven't capitalized on those wins. While Mercedes was really strong here, for them to actually get a win, it would have been tough. It would have required the perfect strategy, which they didn't pull off, and perfect driving, which George did not pull off. The updated simulator is a big help for them, and if this continues, we've seen this be said and then it doesn't continue, but this seems a lot more promising this time out. They've worked a lot upon the simulator issue and trying to get this solved. The W14 was the biggest struggle when it came to this, but the 13 was pretty bad as well. And then that brings me to the last part of this video, which is they have to have aggressive development. We already see Ferrari kind of falling back in that development battle because they've only really brought upgrades to Imola. Mercedes is bringing little parts, but bigger parts now are expected, and this is where they have to step on the throttle. McLaren is also expecting to bring big parts. We will see Red Bull bring something here in Spain as well. I'll make a whole entire video covering it for all teams as I do usually. But stepping on the throttle now, because it still is pretty much the first third of the season, is very important for the rest of their season if they expect to make it within the top 3, at least points wise. This has been a big couple of weekends for Mercedes, but we have to be cautiously optimistic, as I've said before. If the team does fix the tire problems and that aggressive development, we can really see a big fight between the top 4. Hopefully Aston can make a step as well, and we see a top 5, which would be a dream in this sport, and why not more teams? It would be even better. Canada was a great Grand Prix. I expect Spain to be a great one as well, with all 4 of the teams fighting. That would be a dream right now, especially in the current era of Formula 1. But what are your guys' thoughts? You guys know that I love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments when it comes to Mercedes. I read all the comments, and I like seeing your guys' opinions on a team that's been in a good state of mind for the past couple of Grand Prix. Yes, there's been fighting amongst the teammates like Lewis and George, but I don't really want to get into that drama. I think it's dramatized for no reason, when we can talk about the car and see actual progress from the team. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe, and me in the world, and peace.